Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, Governor Bevin faces questions over a meeting with religious leaders. Former Cats have huge nights across the NBA, and I'll visit with the Nicholasville native who coaches Ohio State hoops. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome to Hey, Kentucky, presented by Wendy's. Former Lexington City Councilman Kevin Stinnett.
Back in the house.
I know.
Shout out to the east side this time.
Really? East side,
the
not north side?
Crats and Birds on the east side said they need to hear from me.
Okay.
So we got it.
All right, a closed-door meeting between Governor Matt Bevin and spiritual leaders is drawing criticism from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. On Monday, Bevin held a spiritual event at the governor's mansion to inspire Kentucky's pastors and to, quote, awaken and motivate a sleeping church. The foundation has filed an open records request to see if any state resources were used to promote or staff the event. They argue that if it was held for Bevin's re-election campaign or even as a religious event, using state resources would represent an abuse of power. The foundation also says this is just the latest example of Bevin using his public office to promote his personal religion. Kevin, I don't know exactly what went on in the meeting. Your take on this?
Well, no one does. I don't think anyone knows what happened, but I think there definitely needs to be a separation between church and state. But however, that often gets blurred at times. You know, our money says in God we trust. He took oath on a Bible when they become governor. Even the city here, we still do invocation at council meetings. So, you know, I think there's more questions to be asked, and I think they should be. But the governor's free to talk to anyone he wants to, and I think he wants to hear from every constituency and should.
So I have no problem with him meeting with religious leaders at all. They are voters and they are constituents, like you said. Right. Just you got to do it, I guess, in the right way.
Yeah, and calling it a spiritual meeting may have some issues.
Yeah, probably so. All right, meanwhile, the governor's comments at a gathering of county officials prompted a response from his opponent's campaign. Matt Bevin addressed the KCO conference yesterday, telling them he wants to shore up public pensions, modernize the state tax code, improve adoption and foster care systems, and repair roads and bridges. The governor also defended the version of pension reform originally passed in 2018, only to be shot down by the state Supreme Court. Bevin then went on to say that invalidated law, quote, was the best thing that ever happened for any chance that those people who are demanding their pensions be there when they retire. The running mate of Democratic challenger Andy Beshear responded with this tweet criticizing Bevin's remarks. Beshear was invited to yesterday's forum but chose to campaign in northern Kentucky instead. Kevin, I looked at this and I can't see anything else other than let's cut taxes for the rich and pass it on to the poor. That's just what I see.
Well, I see we keep going backwards. I mean, can we not just start working forward, mend the bridges? Because it has to be fixed. But to keep bringing up the past that was already shot down by the Supreme Court, it's time to start working with people and move our state forward on that issue.
And on every issue, I feel like I've heard now in the last week 2 different Republicans say, we're not going to work on things if we have a Democratic governor. And I hate that. I hate that.
I do too. I do too.
All right, staying with politics. Taxpayers will be footing the bill for security and crowd control provided by Lexington police when President Trump comes to town on the eve of the November election. City leaders say Lexington has had a long-standing policy of not charging for a police presence at events held by anyone under the protection of the U.S. Secret Service, regardless of the nature of the event. Donald Trump is due to appear at Rupp Arena November 4th. His campaign has a spotty record of paying for security at events, but Kevin, I thought the headline in the Herald Leader for this was quite misleading because, again, nobody pays when any president or former president, vice president, any of them.
Yeah, our tradition has been anyone that has Secret Service detail, they don't pay for the extra traffic control and security protections we have to put in place. But having said that, you can still ask. So, Mayor, ask for it.
Yeah.
Ask them. Ask Bevin's campaign. But I think Trump has already paid for Rupp Arena. It's $40,000. So, you know, it's a big deal for Lexington. It gives us publicity.
Yeah,
Can't be a bad thing.
There's no doubt about that. I don't ever really defend Trump, but in this case, everyone got the same treatment. We're just kind of making it sound. Yeah. All right. In other news, a recent story at an Oldham County hospital has brought up concerns about how sexual assault victims are treated within the healthcare system. The case involves a woman who was allegedly stabbed and sexually assaulted by a man in LaGrange. When the victim went to her local hospital, they treated her wounds but sent her to Louisville for the sexual assault, where there are nurses who specialize in treating rape victims. While that care may be better, sending victims elsewhere might discourage them from following through with a report. Here's what one of those specialized nurses had to say.
Part of that is just knowing how to talk to a victim, how not to re-traumatize them during the exam, how to give them as much ownership and choice in the process as we can. The burden should not be on the victim to know what hospital to go to after they've been sexually assaulted.
Advocates for sex assault victims say some health care providers feel they may not be able to do adequate exams on those patients because it involves collecting evidence for a legal case. There's an effort to put more specialized nurses on call for traveling to outlying hospitals beginning next year. Kevin, we're behind the times on this. There should be a SANE nurse, and SANE is a sexual assault victims nurse specialist in every hospital.
I couldn't
wherever
agree more.
There's an ER. Yeah.
This is cringe factor type
Yeah.
stuff. I can't imagine if it was my wife or someone I cared about, a woman that we're close to that had this happen, and then have to say, hey, we can't do this here. You have to go to another hospital. It already takes courage enough for the woman to go to the hospital in the first place in most of these cases. So I'm fortunate we live in a city that has done an excellent job of keeping those nurses on staff, and it's state law.
Yeah. That's why I was shocked that there wasn't one.